What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Bucks University. I am Nathan Marzian, joined as always by Stev, aka Bucks Breakdown. You can follow me on Twitter at Nathan Marzian, Stev at Bucks_breakdown, and the podcast at BucksU_pod. We are 2 weeks away from the NBA draft, but still quite a bit of prospects for us to get to on this podcast. We're going to try to do 2 of these this week, so we'll cover today we'll be covering Hannes Steinbach and Brayden Burries, and then we'll cover 3 players on probably Thursday, a couple more next week, and then a couple more right before the draft. So still some guys to get to. You want to just jump right into it? We can get this thing started right away?
Let's do it, man.
All right, first up, Hannes Steinbach, a forward/big from Washington. He is 6'11", 250 pounds, 7 foot 2 inch wingspan, and he's 20 years old. Basic stats: 18.5 points a game, 11.8 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 58% from the field, 34% from three, and 76% on free throws. The main thing, I think, if you need to know one thing about Hannes Steinbach, probably the best rebounder in the class and one of the best rebounders of recent years coming out of the draft. Just a fantastic rebounding prospect. He's really got like pretty, long arms, 7'2" wingspan. He fights for everything on the glass. He's constantly crashing the offensive glass in particular and generating extra possessions. Offensive rebounds per game. I want to say he was at like 4.3 per game. I should have this pulled up, but he was.
His O rebound percentage was 14.3, which was 95th percentile, so pretty good.
Yeah, 4.2 offensive rebounds per game. So that is a lot of extra possessions he's generating every single game, which naturally, as a Bucks fan, something that the Bucks have basically neglected for a long time outside of the very end of this past season when the games didn't matter anymore and they started just sending Jericho Sims to the offensive glass. We haven't really prioritized offensive rebounding. We've obviously sucked at generating extra possessions and winning the possession battle. So a guy like this who dominates the offensive glass and is generating constantly extra possessions for his team, naturally that's pretty intriguing. In addition to the rebounding, which we'll talk about pretty extensively, pretty good interior scorer. He's got like nice touch, not super athletic or anything, but he's got some good finesse, good footwork, good touch. Can score out of the post and like as a cutter and stuff. And then also has like a little bit of face up scoring where you can put the ball on the floor a little bit and hit like some little floaters, or again, like has some craft around the rim and even can hit the occasional jump shots from the mid range, which is kind of he didn't do a ton. And I'm hoping that's something he can kind of improve on if he's going to be more of a post player in the NBA, is being able to just hit little fadeaways from the post, but can still, he hits some occasional jumpers. And then overall, he can space the floor. He can hit threes, not at an absurd clip, but when he's left open, certainly can. He made 18 threes in 30 games. So, one every 2 games, 18 out of 53, 34%. Nothing special, but it's certainly better than some other bigs we'll show you in terms of floor spacing. So I think he's definitely got some potential there. He's a pretty good free throw shooter, and I really like his touch around the basket. So I do believe he can become, consistently a better 3-point shooter as time goes on. Takes a lot out of the pick and roll, like just pick and pops and stuff like that. So and then there's plenty of them that just look pretty, where he's got really good like that touch and just hit, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but he just looks like a guy that has good shooting touch and can expand his range out to 3-point range at the next level and going forward if he's able to work on it more. But the main thing being the rebounding and him down low physically kind of imposing his will with huge hands and an effort that help him just kind of gobble up rebounds.
Yeah, like you said, that's huge. And kind of like you touched on, like going back to last year, we seen what that could do for a team when Jericho just like decided, or they just sent Jericho and just said, hey, try to grab every single offensive rebound possible. So I think the rebounding thing is really cool. And he's like a legit, like real good rebounder. Like this, he's just not tall and he's just not like falling into these rebounds. Like I think he's a really good rebounder. Outside of that, though, I don't really know if I love him as a prospect. I will say I think he is decently athletic for someone his size. Like you said, this shot looks pretty, and I think a lot of that has to do with like he's a fluid mover for someone his size. Like he's not super athletic, like he's not
He's
winning
not
slam dunks or
explosive.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. But he's a solid athlete for someone his size. Like what was it, 6'10" and a quarter, I think, 7'2" wingspan. But like, man, outside of that, like, do you see him as a 4 or a 5? Like, what do you think the long term like vision is with him as far as like where you're playing him?
So I know there were questions about that, but I do like that he was closer to, I mean, in shoes, he's 6'11", which is closer to a true big than
Right.
what people maybe were thinking. People weren't sure if he was going to end up being like 6'9" or what, people were unsure. So I think his combine measurements will help him out. He's 250. He's got some bulk on him and the big wingspan. So I do see him as someone that can be more of a 5. Now, I don't think, again, I was going to get to the negatives and stuff, but like, I don't think.
Yeah, sorry for jumping like right into the negative stuff.
No, it's totally fine. We'll bounce back and forth, but yeah, I mean, I was going to get to the negatives, which are, the lack of vertical pop and like that type of athleticism. He's not like a true rim protector by any means. He is mobile, but he's not someone that's going to be like a paint protector and a defensive anchor like that.
Right.
He is, again, good enough to put down low that he can grab rebounds, be physical. I don't think he's going to get like totally outworked on that end of the court, but I just question how effective he'll actually be. He had a 33rd percentile defensive box plus minus. He was only 35th percentile in block rate among centers. And so I don't know. He is a bit of a tweener. He's not always quick enough to guard the perimeter, not big enough to be a true rim protector or athletic enough to be a true rim protector. Definitely not. I don't want to say he's like some atrocious defender, but I'm not going to say he's a particularly good one either. And it might be a position or a situation where, like, again, the negative outcome for him would be he never really finds his true role on that end, where he's just kind of always like a slightly below average defender and just like someone that doesn't give you a ton there. But yeah, that's definitely a big question I have.
I mean, yes. So it's like a really weird case where like he's a decent mover for someone his size. And I don't know, like I feel like 6'10", 250, that should be good enough to play the big, but then, or like the true 5, right? But then when you watch his film, like, man, he's like super clunky defensively. Like, I don't know. It never looks natural. Like, even if he's like weak side rotating over to protect the rim, it just never looks natural for him. But I think like if you're going to be high on him, I think the vision and thought would to eventually get him to be that like 5-man. Like, I just don't see like the long-term vision being him always next to someone who's going to be that rim protector. I mean, which in the Bucks case, like, hey, if this is a guy they like wherever, right? Like maybe you do start him alongside Miles, and that's how you kind of get his feet wet, and then you go from there, and you see where it goes long term. But I don't know, like that's the part of it that's a bit funky, and like that I can't entirely get behind is like the defensive stuff and just his fit, like being a tweener, like we said. And then I think like offensively as well, like he does have a bit of the pick and pop game in him and the shot looks solid, but like I think 5s these days are definitely asked to be like hubs at least a tiny bit, you know what I mean, if you're a true 5, in especially someone who's going to be out on the perimeter. And that was a game that was a part of his game that just didn't look, again, like natural to him. It didn't look like if he wasn't like getting the ball to score, it didn't look like he knew what to do without that being option. So I think those are two of the parts of his game, because I think I don't know. I see him as more of a project type guy. Like, definitely has the body to come in and play right away, but like I think you're thinking of year or two out with him for sure.
Yeah, the first two things when I wrote my article on him, the two things, main weaknesses I had were the defense, and along with that, the athleticism, and then the playmaking and the ball security are like just not consistent enough. And like you said, he has moments. I already mentioned he has flashes of face up scoring, putting the ball on the floor, making plays, but overall, it was not, he in no way was able to be some type of offensive hub. And
Right.
he had a pretty, he had a high usage rate at Washington and was only able to put up 47 assists and 59 turnovers. So that's not great for someone who had the ball as much as he did, and they kind of did rely on to be more of an offensive hub. He just wasn't that great of a passer playmaker. And going along with the defense, I think he kind of lacks some feel. He lacks some awareness and like instincts on both ends of the court. And like you said, I think defensively, not always, but there are plenty of times where he's a step slow, and it's like he does move pretty well. He moves pretty fluidly, but he's just not always in the right spots. Yeah.
Like he's a solid mover, man. For someone his size, it's just like
he's like graceful. He's a graceful mover. Yeah.
Natural. Yeah. It just, for sure. And like, it just never seemed like he was able to put like that together along with like, okay, I have to be here for this rotation early enough. And it's always like a half second later, half step late, or just him like throwing his body at somebody. Like it's weird because like, man, like you see it, it's so close to being there, but it just it's not there yet. I think it's more of a, like, I don't want to say basketball IQ thing, but like more leaning towards that than him not being like physically able to do it.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, if you're going to be positive on him, you could say those are things that he definitely could learn at the next level. And as he gets more reps and stuff, like he absolutely could get better at that stuff. And if he does improve his technique and understanding of where to be and all that stuff, absolutely could end up being a plus defender compared to like a slight plus defender compared to being a slight negative one. Don't think he'll ever be some like really good defender again, just because of the lack of like vertical pop and stuff, and just not an explosive athlete or anything like that, where he's not going to be able to block a ton of shots. And I don't know, reminds me on that end kind of like, I don't know, just in terms of like, he's a rim protector that isn't, or he's going to have to be a rim protector if he's a center that isn't really good at protecting the rim, like a Vucevic, where it's kind of like, I don't know, he's not able to get up for blocks too much, and he's got some decent size, can get you rebounds, but like he's not going to make a huge impact on the defensive end. And just isn't that type of athlete.
Jakob Pertl, I don't know what his defensive stats are, but I mean, just as far as like protecting the rim, like he's someone that is almost a tweener and has kind of fell into this role of being more of a 5 at this point, and just saying like, dude, you have to protect the rim. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. Like, we know you're not great at it. And again, I had to look at what his like actual rim protecting stats are to verify that comp, but that's just like the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah. And going back to the turnovers and stuff, he was just not very good at dribbling through traffic or handling double teams or handling just aggressive defenses. It felt like when I watched, there was a ton. I looked at all his turnovers because I wanted to see, are these largely passing turnovers? Are they dribbling turnovers and stuff? There were a ton of examples where he is dribbling and either posting up or something, and someone comes from behind or comes from the other side, doubles him, and he doesn't see it coming, and he dribbles or spins right into them and loses the ball. Or as soon as he tries to put it on the floor and there's two guys around him, he loses the ball. So for someone who is pretty, like, he has big hands, he is pretty strong down low in terms, like we mentioned, the rebounding, it's fantastic. And I mean, for someone who's that good down low and physical down low, it was kind of surprising how somewhat weak he was with the ball in traffic. Now, I get it. He's 6'11", dribbling the ball. He's not going to be the greatest ball handler, but there's were times where it felt like he lost the ball a lot that he didn't necessarily need to, or easily could have not, or, you know, if he could just kept it higher or stuff. So something, again, he can work on, but definitely not a strong suit right now. And that's something he can reliably do, just dribble around traffic and make plays and be an offensive hub, because it just wasn't totally there.
I got to pull up right here. It's real quick. 64% of his turnovers were non-pass turnovers. So I think, like you said, I mean, that checks out, right? Like that's, I don't know. It seems pretty high, but then you go to, I mean, it's a day Mara would be at 55%. So 10% higher basically than someone like that, who is that hub, right? Like that is one of the cells, or one of the things with Mara is that he can, or it projects to be a more hub like big.
Yeah. And I mean, if you check out my article on him, I mean, I put a compilation together of, I put a bunch of videos in there of these prospects and the different things we're talking about. So I have a compilation of him losing the ball in traffic, but it is kind of funny how often the same type of play happened with him where he's got it kind of on the elbow and then someone comes where he's not really totally looking and then they're all of a sudden taking the ball from him. So yeah, it happened a lot and something he'll have to definitely work on. And then the other negative I had was just not, and this isn't a huge negative right now because it is something that I think I mentioned he has potential with and already has shown something with. Not a totally proven shooter, only attempted 1.8 threes per game, 53 total on the season, only made 18 total threes, which isn't nothing, but also isn't anything crazy. And so his shot is slow. It's not anything that he's not a dynamic shooter by any means, but if he's left open and has a ton of space, yes, he can knock down threes. And he's got good touch and craft and all that stuff. And I think he can develop it to the point where he is a fine shooter, a fine floor spacer, but I just don't ever see him being someone who's like, that's a big part of his game is just knocking down threes because he just doesn't have the quick release like that. And he's going to have to adapt to, the speed and the length of the NBA. And it might be even harder for him to get shots off. So if he's not able to get a ton of clean looks, then it's going to be, I just don't see him being much of a shooter right away. And he'll probably have to take a few years to get really comfortable, both upping his volume and then, being able to consistently knock him down and possibly being a little bit more dynamic. So, I mean, that's the thing. If he's a below average defender and barely average 3-point shooter, it's like, how good can he really be? Let's just if that's what you are as a center in the NBA, like if you can't do either of those things, like I don't see a ton of upside there. And the rebounding is a great thing. It's the main thing he's got going for him. And the thing that's the reason he's talked about in the lottery is his rebounding. If he couldn't rebound as well as he did, he would not be anywhere close to the lottery. So that absolutely is something that I think should translate and will be his calling card, but he's got to definitely be above average at least one of either shooting or defense, in my opinion, if he's going to really have any type of meaningful impact long term.
Yeah, and like we said, like he's got to figure out where he can play. And I think to have that good long-term impact, you have to be able to turn him into a true 5. And then, like you said, he's got to figure out, okay, can he get it together defensively or can he just shoot really well?
Or I guess if you aren't able to do one of those things, then the only other thing that could just, again, increase his production would be being an above average passer. But another thing that I don't know if that's going to happen, but another thing he's just kind of below average at right now, that it's like, okay, you can't do any of those. You can't do any of those 3 things. It's like, you can't really be that good by just being a rebounder and like a pretty good interior scorer.
Yeah, and that's like the tough part with him. And that's why I kind of see him as more of like a project type player, and maybe more so than I've seen other people kind of view him through that lens. Right. But you kind of need to see a bump in production in basically all those, if not at least one. I think, I don't know, to me, it's tough. Like I'm trying to think which one do I think he can become like best at, or which one of those skills can he get to the level of, okay, this guy is going to be fine. And I almost want to lean defense just because like the measurables are solid, man. Like it's aren't terrible. And you don't have to, like at that size, you don't have to be like, you don't need the vertical stuff too much. Like if you're in good position, you know what I mean? And like, you're just sticking to drop, like these guys are going to get played off the floor, or bigs like this, drop coverage bigs, they're going to get played off the floor in the playoffs regardless. You know what I mean? So like, if you can get him to be like a floor raising big who can play 82 games and drop coverage and be solid, like I think that's a win. So like the question is, can you get him to that? Yeah,
absolutely. I agree with all that. Overall grade if the Bucks keep Giannis, grade if the Bucks do not keep Giannis.
Oof. If they keep Giannis, I think I like this more than if they don't.
Yeah, I have a decent little gap between the keeping Giannis and not.
I would go B if they keep him, and then C if they don't. Maybe.
I thought you would be. I thought I might be. I mean, I didn't have very high grades, but I thought the way you were talking, I thought I might be higher than you, and I'm lower than you actually.
I see
So
that, like, I shit on these guys and then I give them decent grades, man. I guess I'm harsh, but I mean,
I'm
no,
well, yeah. I feel like I've been kind of harsh with my grades, but I don't know. It's like even Flemings. I was doing my Flemings thing, and I freaking love Flemings, but I'm
yeah,
like, if they keep Giannis, I was giving it a B plus, which I'm like that feels wrong because I've been just talking about how much I love Flemings, but I'm like, there are questions in the size and like
for
he
sure.
needs to adapt his shot profile, all that stuff. So it's like as much as I like these guys, some of these guys as prospects in
Yeah.
general, it's like for the Bucks, I'm like, I guess you could poke some holes in it. But as far as Steinbach, I mean, so I had if they're keeping Giannis, I had him as a C plus, and if they're not keeping Giannis, I said a D because to me,
Okay.
I don't see a ton of upside there. I don't see much that would get me excited with him if they're going into some type of rebuild, or I'm just like I would. There's a lot of other ways I'd rather swing, especially at 10.
For
I
sure.
mean,
Yeah. So like I was gonna say that too. Like if this is their second lottery pick, right? Or whatever
yes,
it may be, I think I look at this a completely different way. Like if they have someone that they get at 10, just throw in any of those names that we've kind of seen in that area, and then they get him or Steinbach later in the draft,
yep,
13, 15, whatever it may be, like then I'm completely on board. Cause then I think like this guy can then be like a real project. Like you can bring him along, maybe a bit slower, but like you also got a rookie that you think can be like more of a cornerstone going forward.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, if this ends up being a pick in the 15 to 20 range, I will really not have any gripes with it,
For
keeping
sure.
honest or not. So
Yes.
it's like whatever, but just as a top 10 pick, getting a guy like
Yeah.
that where it's
10.
like
Yeah.
he's not overly explosive. He's not explosive. He's a below average shooter. He's a below average defender. He's a below average playmaker. Like there's just a lot of things I'd be like, come on, like they could have done better with this as a top 10 pick. But yeah, definitely someone to keep in mind for the rebound. Like, and I wrote my thing. I mean, I'm not going to completely ignore him or act like I want nothing to do with this guy just because of those things, because the rebounding does matter. And we should know
Yes.
this better than anyone that like we need guys that can generate extra possessions. And I mean, I have him as a C plus, even as a top 10 pick if the Bucks are keeping Giannis, because if you could add a guy like that, an extra possession generating role player that like you can rely on that guy to do some of that dirty work and has some skill offensively, does have a little bit of potential on that end too. We can talk about like we Jericho Sims can do the extra possession stuff for us. Yeah, but I mean Steinbach has more skill offensively and can do a little bit more on that end, most likely. So like at that point,
I
yeah, I
think the
mean,
upside
but
is there too. Like in all those areas we talked about, like the defensive upside is there. I think he's for someone as skilled as him at scoring the ball. I think there has to be like a lick of playmaking in there, right? To be some type of hub. So like this stuff isn't all like theoretical, or I mean, like there's a path to him becoming good at those things. It's not just like, oh, if Jericho Sims develops a jump shot, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's not that. It's like, okay, we've seen maybe flashes or whatever it may be.
yep, completely agree. And then I'm trying to think if I had anything else to add on him, but for the most part, it's yeah. I mean, I wouldn't completely hate it if they're keeping Giannis. I would be very disappointed if they aren't keeping Giannis and draft him top 10. But as a later pick, wouldn't mind it if he's their second first round
Yeah.
pick. So overall, those are our thoughts. I think we pretty much agree on that. And now it's Brayden Burries time. Brayden Burries, 6'4", 6'6" wingspan guard out of Arizona, nearly 21 years old, 215 pounds. Is there anything Brayden Burries cannot do? Genuine question.
You know what's funny is I seen a tweet during the Spurs OKC series, and it was like outside of the top four, like what guy are you most confident in throwing in this series? And a lot of people's answer was Brayden Burries, and I think I agree.
I have just found myself like every time I watch him, I like him more and more. I love that he has. I just feel like he's got a great combination of both floor and ceiling where he can do so many things well. almost has like he just has so few weaknesses, and you can see him basically being plugged into several different roles, giving a team whatever they really need from him. But he also has a little bit of a ceiling that I think is untapped, where he can do more on the ball and as a creator and stuff. And I don't know if we've seen all of the defensive potential and stuff. And he's got like good athleticism to me that makes me excited about. I do believe in him as someone that could get even better. There's a lot to like. I mean, I can just jump into like all the specifics and stuff, but overall, it's like he's just like a Swiss Army knife type of guard. I mean, he can run the pick and roll. He can be a spot up shooter. He can shoot off of movement. He is great in transition. I think that's like I think someone in our group chat described it as his superpower. And I'm like, that's a great way to put it. That's kind of the thing he probably thrives best at. Super like connective player. I just feel like he, again, not only a great playmaker, but, and these are kind of two different things to me, but like he's a good playmaker, but also a good passer where he makes a lot of instinctual reads, like, and is just able to keep the ball moving, always able to make winning plays for his team. And then he's also a good defender. I mean, he's very solid on that end of the court, decent rebounder. And then, I mean, offensively, he's able to score from anywhere. He can get to the rim and score. He's a good mid-range shooter, 86th percentile shooting from the mid-range, 39% from three, like a very good three-point shooter. It can just basically do everything on the court. And I just love his ability to both scale up or down depending on the role. He can play on or off the ball depending on your role, and can do things on his own, can have other people do things for him. He is just a two-way player. Everything about him, I'm like, man, it's hard for me to not love this guy. I guess you could argue that he could be a jack of all trades, master of none. Like, if you're asking me what is one thing that he is great at, like besides maybe transition, I'm like, I guess there's you could say that all of these things have slight things where they're not quite elite or anything, like they're not quite 100% proven like he is amazing at this, but it's like he can do all of them at least a good level, and just feels like someone that is dang near guaranteed to make an impact at the next level and be a good role player. And I think he also has the upside to be even more than that.
I think he was one of those guys where like I was lower on before diving into the film, and then for whatever reason, and then dove into the film and was like really blown away by like everything he could do, because like you said, he was put in basically every role you could possibly imagine offensively for someone his size, like on ball, pick and roll, spot up, movement shooter. Like he did a lot.
Point guard, and then the other thing, point guard, shooting guard, he can play either one. Like it just, he's got legit. He's got the size to, he's 215, whereas some of these other guards are 185, 175. Like he is 215. He's bulky. He's stocky. He's like, I just love how versatile he is.
Yeah, I mean, his measurements up against other point guard, his combine measurements up against other point guards is, he's at the top of those percentiles in basically all the categories. So that, I mean, that's good to see, and he's not far behind like as a shooting guard either. So like you're not losing to, like, he was one of the guys where I was like, man, he was a little underwhelming when he tested in the combine as far as height. Like I thought I really wanted him to get to 6'4", but I think he was just under that.
Yeah, but, and I mean, again, with shoes, 6'4" pretty much. But yeah, he did. I think he was 6'3" and a quarter or something, 6'3" and a half. I don't remember.
Yeah, and it's 6'6" wingspan. So yeah, not bad at all. But yeah, I mean, one of those guys, when I watched the film, like he jumped out as way more athletic than I thought he was. And I think you could really get a grasp on that when he was out in transition. So like just to see, diving into the film and seeing everything that he was able to do and like all the different ways he was able to impact winning, it was cool, man. Cause that was not my impression of him pre-jumping into the film.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Arizona quite a bit this year, and obviously Arizona was a fantastic team and kind of just speaks to it, how he kind of contributes to winning and was able to play many different roles on a good team. This wasn't on some, random mid-major team. But yeah, he felt like someone who during the season just felt like someone who was more of just an off-ball scorer and kind of like, okay, he'll just be like a shooting guard that occasionally hits spot up threes and can defend just a 3-and-D player. And I mean, that might end up being what he ends up, like the role he ends up playing, but I think there's no doubt he can do more than that if asked to do more than that. He can be a point guard, be a playmaker, be more on the ball. He can go get buckets from the mid-range and get around and get to the rim, hit pull-up threes, hit threes off of movement. The defense is versatile, and then there's just so many things to like about him. I have a bunch of stats here on him just to read off really quick. So 31 out of 77 on all threes off the dribble. That's 40%. 39 out of 100 on all catch and shoot threes. 39% was 45% from the mid range, which is 86th percentile. Shot about, a little under 2 mid range attempts per game. So good frequency there. Made 18 runners. So he's got a little bit of a runner game. 63% overall at the rim, which is, what is that? Or 65% at the rim, sorry, 58th percentile above average there. And 80th percentile on rim frequency. Transition scoring, 82nd percentile, and 95th percentile in transition frequency. So he's a fantastic transition player, constantly pushing it. And I just love that about him. Again, part of his connectivity is he's able to, the best way I saw it described is he's a great complementary scorer where he doesn't need to be your main guy, but he's going to score in kind of the ancillary ways. And then, but also he has the potential to be your main scorer as well when needed. So it's just I love that he's able to do all those things that are able to get him points without him needing to demand the ball a ton. And he can kind of quickly find possessions where it's okay, it's my time to really quickly get a bucket here or get out in transition or whatever. Or late in the shot clock, he can do that stuff, but he doesn't need to do it all the time.
I think
go ahead.
Real quick, just to think, the cool thing with him is everyone's been talking about the main guards, Keaton, Michael, Kingston, all those guys as oh, this guy was obviously the lead guard, but he can play off ball. Well, Burries was probably the only one who was consistently on and off ball all year long and showed he could do it at a really high level. And maybe it's because the team he was on, like you said, Arizona was really good. So that played into it, obviously. But he was the one of all those guys to legitimately do it all season long.
Yeah, Mike Hill, people talk about, well, he played with Ryan Conwell. He proved he can kind of play with another guard. And yeah, that's true, but he really didn't do much off the ball. He was constantly on the ball. So, but the way Burries played, it was he just was that Swiss Army knife that did a little bit of everything. Just a couple more stats here off of handoffs and screens. So movement threes, he was 13 of 24, only 27th percentile in spot up frequency, which was just way lower than I thought. I thought that number would be way higher when I first looked at the numbers. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I think he's proven to everyone that he can be a spot up shooter if he needs to be, but I kind of loved that he wasn't just doing that all the time and was way more or was not as limited as I thought he was in what he was doing offensively. He just had much more to his game, more dynamic. Defensive box plus minus 97th percentile, 78th percentile steal percentage, and then near 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Just a lot to like.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, maybe it's a case of jack of all trades, master of none, but man, it's really hard to poke holes in what he put on tape this season.
So any comp for him that you like?
Oh man. Do you have one in mind?
I've seen two that I kind of like, and I don't think either one is perfect or anything, as most comps aren't, but I see Quentin Grimes a lot, and I see Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
I think I don't know if I like the Grimes one. He just feels a little bit more versatile than what.
Yeah. He's like a supercharged Quentin Grimes.
Yeah. What about I mean, obviously a much scaled down version and in a different way, a Jamal Murray. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because obviously in that they do a lot with Jokic in the half court, and Murray is someone who, like picks his spots really well. It feels like, who's still handling the ball a ton, but maybe not creating a ton as well. Like just really,
not as much as some
and
of those
choosing his
other
spots.
main guards. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I very much agree. And so, I don't know, just again, feels like he's going to be a winning player at the next level, and just someone that it's very hard for me to see him not panning out, because there's very few questions with him. And even usually the guys like this that you're like, okay, they can do a little everything. There's usually, they just don't have a ceiling, or sorry, they have a low ceiling, or they're older prospects and it's like, he's 20 years old. He's got, I think, good vertical pop and even lateral quickness and lateral athleticism to have more upside. And like, I don't think this is just like, this is who he's going to be, kind of like we see with Yaxter, where it's like, yeah, he's good at everything, but he's 24 and he just doesn't have the upside or the offensive polish to his game, the off the dribble shot creation ability. But like Brayden Burries does, and Brayden Burries has the on ball ability that someone like a lot of guys in his mold usually wouldn't. So I don't know, the upside is there, plus the floor, and it's just like that combination intrigues me, because not a lot of players have both a pretty high floor and a high ceiling.
I'm interested in hearing your grade on this one. I don't know if you wanted to get to that right away. But
yes. And by the way, I should have said his stats at the beginning, but 16 points a game, 5 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 1.5 steals, 49% from the field, 39% from three. So again, just pretty solid all over, pretty efficient, was 50, 40, 80 nearly. So my grade for this, I haven't officially done my article yet, but the way I have it right now, if the Bucks are keeping Giannis, I have it as an A. If they are not keeping Giannis, I have it as a B.
Not keeping Giannis would be B. Okay.
Just because, again, I think he fits, like, if the Bucks are keeping Giannis, he to me is arguably my favorite pick they could make, because I think he can play right away, and I do think he has a pretty decent ceiling. So I'm like, I'm in favor of them possibly taking a guard, but it would also, I want it to be someone that isn't completely taking away from Rollins and is able to still let him do his thing and grow. And it's like, I think Burries is the perfect guy for that, where we mentioned he can scale up or down, play with a 1 or the 2, and does a lot of things offensively, and won't take too much of the ball away from Giannis either, because we know Giannis, if he's on the team, he's going to want the ball and should get the ball a ton. So love him if the Bucks are keeping Giannis. Without him, moves him down a little bit, like it moves Flemings, Phylon, Michael Brown, the guys that I think do have, even though I said I think Burries has some upside, I think the guys like that who have even more upside to me, and are more polished on the ball completely, I'll take them over him if they are without Giannis. But I don't have a bad grade on it. I still have a B.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I would probably be the same, A, if Giannis was staying, and then, like you said, maybe if you want to swing for someone with a bit higher of an upside without Giannis, that makes sense. So then you would put this at a B if he wasn't here. So yeah, definitely agree there.
Oh, the other comp that I've looked at, and this is, again, not perfect by any means, but Derek White.
That was one. So I'm going through the reports now on Draft Baller, and like that's one that I seen.
Because, and I don't think he's the defender right now that Derek, he's not, obviously. But I mean, he's a good enough defender. He's got that versatility offensively where it's like, yeah, I mean, he can obviously play off ball and just be more of a shooter and like connective guy if you want him to. But then it's like when you need Derek White to sometimes run the offense, he can do that. And obviously good defensively, just like a guy that any team, like any contender, any team really in the NBA would want a guy like that in a team that can just do a little bit of everything, be that kind of Swiss Army knife. I don't know. I thought that was a pretty good comp.
Yeah, no, I like that one. I think, like you said, maybe not the defender White is at this moment, but I think Burries might even have a little more on-ball juice and creation than Derek White has. And that's not to slight Derek White, but like, I think something along those lines, though, like you said, Derek White, someone who is just going to do a little bit of everything and can do a little bit of everything.
So are your grade similar, the same?
Yeah, I think I would be at the same A if Giannis stays, and then B if he's not here.
Yeah, and I mean it's just kind of funny. Like I all year have been big on Fleming's Phylon, but then when I look into this, I'm like, if we're keeping Giannis, I'm putting those guys, probably at a B plus if we're keeping Giannis, and I'm putting Burries at an A if we're keeping Giannis, because I'm just like, as I've looked more into this, it's like, man, Burries, I think he's got it right now. Like he's just a guy that you can put him into an NBA game and he'd be very impactful right now and wouldn't need much time to like figure stuff out. So he to me is probably the best guard if they're keeping Giannis. Like he's the only one I have in my A tier guys. So yeah, that I mean, as I watch him, I've just become more and more enamored with him.
Yeah, I mean, and like the thought like just makes sense too. Like those guys, Fleming's, Phylon, really good, and I think maybe have a higher ceiling, like you said, potentially. But like I think those guys need room to grow. And
yeah, they need. I mean, they're 30, 40 pounds lighter, or lighter than Phylon or than Burries right now.
I think. Man, I just had it up. But like, yeah, Burries, even as a shooting guard against 334 shooting guards, his weight is 85th percentile. So like he's coming in solid, and the standing vert is 95th percentile for shooting guard. So like he's maybe a bit undersized height wise and maybe wingspan size as well. But like his build is there, and I think he does enough to kind of make up for that stuff.
5 pounds heavier than Nate Ament.
Man, whoever the Nets GM is will be getting a solid Christmas present from me if they take him at 6.
6'10", 210 for Nate Ament, 6'4", 215 for Brayden Burries. I don't remember if I rounded those or not. It might have been even lower for Nate Ament, but
let's see.
I don't remember what he's at exactly.
Burries 215 and then Ament 211.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Not good. But,
yeah. Burries definitely one of my favorites, and so would definitely be, I think, a home run, especially if the Bucks are keeping Giannis. So it's a matter of, I mean, do you think he'll be there? I guess we haven't talked about that with these two guys, but I'm sure Steinbach will be there at 10. I don't see him going in the top 9. But Burries, there is a question. I mean, obviously the teams ahead of us want guards. I know the Mavs have been linked to him, and like they're talked about as a team that, okay, if a guy like Burries or Fleming's falls to them, whichever one, then they're just going to take them. So definitely a chance he's not available. But I mean, I don't think it's like no chance that he makes it to 10. I've seen somewhere he's fallen into the 12, 13 range.
Yeah, I mean, Steinbach definitely will be there, it seems like. And Burries is the one I'm not getting my hopes up for because of the smoke with him to the Mavs. Like, I think they said that he's clutch, and they're trying to get him to the Mavericks. They're, shutting down some workouts. So, and I think they brought up that they did that with Lively as well, who is also clutch, and he got to the Mavs. So he's the one I'm like less hopeful for of the guards. It looks like if he goes 9 and the Nets go non-guard at 6, there could be some additional options there for the Bucks at 10. So it's interesting to see these mocks come out now that are a bit more sourced with team intel.
Yeah. So if Dallas has a choice between Fleming's and Burries, you think they take Burries?
Yeah, I do.
I think so too. Like as of right now, if I had to bet, I would bet that happens. And then Fleming's FC throws a party, and then we draft Nate Ament.
Man.
Premature party for Fleming's FC, that thinking we're going to get him, and then we don't. But no, I kind of agree. I think that, I mean, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 all could take guards theoretically. I don't see it quite as much with the Hawks at 8, but like I could see the Clippers taking a guard, Brooklyn, Sacramento for sure, Dallas for sure. Like that's where that's where Acuff, Wagler, possibly Michael Brown. I mean, that's another guy. It's like, man, they got Acuff, Wagler, Michael Brown, Flemings, and Burries. So for all those guys to be gone, they would have to all go 5 through 9. And then,
right. So yeah, I mean that's what I've kind of. I think I might have tweeted it, but like the more these source ones come out, the more you're seeing like okay, the Nets could do non-guard. They like Ament, they like Mara. The Hawks like maybe I think it was Mara, and then Dallas at 9. Burries is trying to make his way there, or whatever way that's going. So like there could be, it could be Sam Vecini's mock had us taking Michael, I think it was. So I would be very excited to have him.
And really, I mean, no matter what, there's going to be at least one, because even if all of those guys go in that 5 to 9 range, you've got Phylon left. So it's like there's at least one guard that will be left for at 10. That, I mean, you can debate whether you like which guys you like or not. Like people might not like Phylon or might not like Michael Brown or Flemings or whatever, but one of those guys will be available at 10 if the Bucks really do want to go that route. So there should be at least one top guard prospect available. And to me, these guys are all pretty much in. I have them personally in my board. Like I have them all in the same tier. And again, I know that sounds like I love Flemings. I've loved Phylon all year, but I mean, I will admit like they might not be. I'm not for sure that they'll be, above the guys like Wagler, Acuff, and stuff like that. Michael Brown, Burries, but I mean, I have them all pretty closely grouped together. So it's kind of like to me, one of them falls, and I can't complain about any of them. I don't see Wagler or Acuff falling, but Brown, Burries, Phylon, Flemings, like any one of those could be there. At least has a chance.
I just wanted to look up what that Sam Vecini article said, because he was the one who had Marjan Beauchamp to us, I think it was, and then he definitely had AJ Johnson as well.
Yep.
So I just wanted to look up what he had in that, because I know he had something. So it just starts with the Bucks have certainly been doing due diligence into the lead guards, including Flemings, Anderson, LeBaron Phylon, and Michael Brown. And then he goes on to say, I've also heard Steinbach's name here as an option, but he had us taking Michael Brown Jr.
Yeah, and I could see, like we were talking about earlier, I could see Steinbach. They're hearing things about Steinbach because there's been rumors also of them saying we're going to be probably having another pick. And so that might be why they're looking further into Steinbach, is if we get another pick in the 15 to 20-ish range, we're targeting that guy. So
I wonder if it might be like, okay, so like we said, all like after top 4, 5 through 9 would have to be all guards for us to then only be left with like Phylon, right?
Yep.
I wonder, like, if it's between Phylon and Steinbach, like, do they go Steinbach?
I would go Dalen Swain.
Yeah, it just sucks that it doesn't even seem like they're looking wing there, but it is what it is. I won't complain. If we get any of those guards, I don't think I'll complain.
Again, Steinbach to me at 10 would just be disappointing. Like at that point, I'd be like, man, you could have traded down. And
yes,
like, man, okay. Now that I think about it, I'm going to lose my mind if they take Steinbach at 10, because I'm going to be like, dude, you could have traded down. Even if you liked Steinbach, you could have traded down and possibly gotten him. I mean, even if he does go, and let's say you trade down to 16, 17, pick up an extra first round pick, hoping to get Steinbach, and they don't get him. Oh no, we had to take Dalen Swain or Cameron Carr. Poor us. Then you end up with a first round pick and Dalen Swain, or first round pick and Cameron Carr. That'd be freaking awesome. I will be very upset if they take Steinbach at 10. I
will say it. One way or another, it does seem like they will have 2 picks in the first round, right? Like, is that? Do you think so?
I think more likely than not as of right now.
And like that, there's a lot of names, and I think we kind of threw out some combos yesterday or the day before in the group chat, and I like looked at the combos and I'm like, man, there's a lot of solid options in there, right? Like there's not too many ways you could go, and like we come out like, damn, like we over 2. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
get ready for Nate Amen and Kareem Lopez, man. Get ready for it. Nah, I could see, but like, yeah, like, I mean, it could be any one of those guards. Whether you want Phylon, Burries,
right,
Michael Brown, plus Steinbach, or any one of those guys, plus Morez Johnson, or plus whoever, or you could go, plus. I mean, I again, I don't know how likely it is, but plus a Swain or plus a Carr somewhere.
Dude.
You could go with, I don't know, something like a Yaxel at 10. I know you don't love Yaxel, but Yaxel at 10 plus you get a guard like Christian Anderson a little later. Like
I was going to say, like, that kind of works in the opposite way that the Steinbach one does, where like, okay, you get your proven guy in Yaxel, but then, you're also taking a shot on someone like Phylon, like Anderson or whoever it may be later down the line in that first round or lottery. So, I mean, man, if I'm excited because it does seem like they'll get an additional first round pick or whatever it may be. I do like the hope. The hope has got me.
And there's always seems to be at least one guy that falls into that 15 to 20 range that nobody expected. Usually a guard like Yaku Chonis that one year, I think he fell to 20. And
he was late in the first.
Before the draft, people were talking about him as potentially like 7th, 8th, and then he's sitting there at 20 and Miami takes him. And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like someone, I don't know who, but maybe Phylon, maybe someone like that who you trade down and you're like, oh shit, like we can get him we're at 18 and we somehow can get Phylon. Like I don't see that being the case. But again, I mean, stuff happens where people just didn't see that. And then it ends up on draft night. They're sitting there going, why is he falling? And maybe teams are just like, we don't want to draft a 175-pound guard. And then he's at 18 and you're like, okay, at some point it's just worth it to take him.
For sure. I mean, in Vicini's mock, not to say like his word is gospel here, but like he had Phylon going 19th to the Raptors.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, like you said, like stuff like that just happens. Like Michael makes it to 10, another guard falls down. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way that stuff goes, and it happens every year. So, I mean, it's got my hopes up for sure.
And I mean, it just based on that. Again, it's not the gospel, but it's like if Phylon or any of these guys could be available near 20, I would so much rather that than taking any of them at 10 personally. I mean, even though I'd be happy with them at 10, it's like, man, if I could get Phylon 9 picks later, you pick up a first round pick, you still get Phylon or, whatever. I just like, that'd be awesome to me.
I mean, and it seems like there's teams like looking to do just that, right? Like whether it be OKC trading both their picks to move up or just trading one of them to get out. I think the Hornets have 2 in that late lottery, late first as well. And I think I've heard the Bulls trying to get up from 15. So like it does sound like that is out there again. Like I don't know how feasible it is, but I don't know. It does sound like the Bucks will be drafting twice in the first round.
Yeah. All right. 2 weeks left. And then within that time, we'll definitely get a little bit more knowledge and have a little bit better understanding. And usually on draft day too, there's some stuff that comes out. I mean, I remember vividly the AJ Johnson stuff, and I was like, there's no way. And then sure enough,
I didn't believe it.
Usually that stuff does have some weight on draft day. I feel like it doesn't totally come out of nowhere, but that'll do it for us. Yeah, June 23rd. I think the second round is 24th, right? Like it's a 2-day thing again.
Yeah. So I mean, today is officially 2 weeks away. Right now, We'll know. This time in 2 weeks, we'll know.
Yes, sir. We'll be live streaming after we took Nate Ament.
I was going to say, Kareem Lopez jerseys will be on pre-order.
Oh, man. All right. That'll do it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Follow the podcast at BucksU_pod. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow Stev at Bucks_breakdown. Myself at Nathan Marzian on Twitter. Once again, thank you. And as always, Bucks in 6.